drinking water, but we have a drinking water tap on the main sink, so that's not a problem. And I'm finding I actually prefer that, because I can get a glass, put some ice in it, and the water dispenser runs a lot faster from the sink than it does from at least my experience of refrigerated cold water dispensers. You know, those take ages to fill up a cup. We also got our water softener replaced last week, which does put into question, you know, literally we just replaced the water softener, and the next day the dishwasher decided to flood the kitchen. So I'm guessing the dishwasher wasn't too happy about suddenly having soft water in place of hard water, or the length of time it had been running on hard water had taken its toll, which is probably more likely. But that could mean that the dishwasher could, the washer, the clothes washer, could be a little bit tired as well. Just because we don't know how long that water softener wasn't working for. But all of the pipes, or all of the, what do you call them? The valves around it were seized, probably because hard water, and you know, it was 20 years old as well, so it wasn't in the best of conditions. And the guy who came around to service it looked at it and said, "Yeah, that's not working, and I'm not even sure it's worthwhile trying to repair it because I don't know if I can get the parts that might be needed." It's that old, so. Of course, bonus points, the water tastes a lot better than it did. I'd like to avoid buying any more appliances for right now. Maybe an upright freezer, but again, I'd like to kind of hold off on that for a few months. Okay, let's patch those bits up. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because we were in the process of moving and one of our friends had part of a cow and part of a pig to sale just before we were getting ready to move, and we sort of said, yeah, not really, because we don't, you know, I don't want frozen meat in transit for too long. As it was, we were in transit for less than a day. So the remainders of the cow that we had when we moved, we still have. We've eaten quite a lot of it, considering, well, there's not a lot of beef around at the moment. And when you do go shopping for meat, you can have 2 packets. Which of course means rather than going shopping once per week, you have to go shopping multiple times if you want to eat meat every day. Or buy a very big pack of meat. It's actually what I used to do when I was single. You know, buy a large pack of hamburger and make chili. And I would be eating chili for 3 or 4 days. And yeah, I tend to find in most cases it isn't worth repairing. I don't, consequently, I generally don't get a warranty on anything. My experience is, for the most part, if something is going to break, it's going to break usually within a month, potentially during the first year, and then sort of 5 years later, at the point where any extended warranty you might have paid for has just expired. And by which time the piece of equipment that you're talking about is usually getting on for obsolete anyway. So, yeah, in the realms of computer hardware, I've bought a hard drive which lasted literally 5 days. So I went back to the store and said, hey, this is making awful grinding noises, which I don't think it's supposed to do, and I also can't read any of the data on it. And when I run a scan disk, it says this disk is really, really, really bad. So they said, oh yeah, that would be a problem, have a new one. So I said, yeah, thanks, okay. Oops. And I think I also bought a motherboard that was dead out of the box. So the annoyance there was I'd just driven pretty much a two-hour round trip to the computer store to pick up all the parts I needed, and had to make another 2-hour trip to take the motherboard back and get a replacement. Bonus on that particular trip was I bought a new processor, and I can't for the life of me remember what speed it was, possibly a 240 meg processor. And when I actually got the motherboard to power up with everything plugged into it, it reported itself as a 350. So I sort of, oh, well, that's kind of nice. Wasn't expecting that. I checked the packaging and it said 240, 240 megahertz processor. So I thought, well, someone packaged and labeled that one wrong, didn't they? I'll keep quiet. I've had at least one laptop die on me, but it was sort of 7 years later, and quite frankly, the next version of Windows was not going to run on it, and I was going to need a new laptop anyway, so no great shakes there. Computer monitors, likewise. I think I had an old 14-inch CRT monitor die, and by that time people were running 17-inch monitors, and so it was about time to replace it anyway with something a little bigger, because my eyes were getting older and I couldn't see what I used to be able to. Yeah, the other thing that broke in the last week was our bread maker. But we bought that second hand for $7, so we definitely got $7 worth of bread out of it. I think we bought that back when we were in Texas, which is getting on for 12 years ago. So 12-year-old used bread maker for $7, and it just died on us, so that's fair enough. Unfortunately, nobody's selling them at the moment because, I don't know, bread makers are the same as toilet paper, everyone's hoarding them. Either way, you go to a lot of the websites now and it's sort of, we don't have any bread makers, no idea when they're happening. even going to bread maker manufacturing websites. Yeah, not sure when we'll be delivering to anybody, so not great. I guess we're going to have to make bread the hard way. Although finding bread has not been as difficult in the last few weeks as it was a month ago. And we had been lucky enough, get that bit I missed, we had been lucky enough to find some yeast. My wife was travelling home from Ohio. The day that the Michigan lockdown was taking effect for the first time at midnight on the Monday, my wife was driving back from visiting family that day, and it's sort of, yeah, there's no bread in the store, I've run out of bread, I managed to get a bag of flour, but our yeast is 6 years old and dead, so we need some yeast and I can't find any. And I was doing sort of Google search for any store that might have any, because all of our local stores were saying, yeah, we're out of yeast, no idea when we're going to get any more. Amazon, all out of yeast, no idea when we get any more. And I happened to check one of the local grocery stores that isn't in our city and said, oh, grocery store in Ann Arbor has some yeast and they're on your way home. Can you stop by and get some? Sure, not a problem. So she actually managed to get a bottle of yeast, and that particular store had more in stock, which was totally awesome. So yeah, we got a supply of yeast. As I said, the bread makers around this area seem to be supplying the stores fairly well with bread. When we've needed to buy bread, we've not been unable to find any, so at least that side of the supply chain is working, if everything else isn't. That may or may not be counted. Let me swing around and drop the seeder just there for a brief second, and then we'll call this field done. Done. And we can fold that up. Okay, check the map. And that looks all ready to go. So yeah, this is Hilltop Stores, there's the barn, or there's the yard. And our road just drives up there, around there, around there. And getting into here is very tight, so tractor and small tippers the way to go for that store. But yeah, we'll be shopping for living room and dining room furniture this week. Finally. Unfortunately, office furniture, because we started out buying sort of an IKEA desk system. We're kind of screwed for that, because IKEA's closed and doesn't have anything in stock anyway, so I've got half of the materials I need. I still need more desktops and maybe a couple of legs. So the office is still in a bit of a state, and we're using desks that we've had for 20 years, come from California. I would actually like to keep using these desks, but I need more sort of desktop areas, and they don't make this particular desk system anymore. If they did, I would have no qualms about buying some extra units, but sadly this particular system has been discontinued, so it would be a mishmash of all different bits and pieces, and I kind of want it all to be the same size, the same height. So we're going to have to wait until IKEA reopen their stores, at least for curbside pickup, and hopefully get the desks back in stock. And part of the reason I'm not buying from them is they charge $100 to deliver. No matter how much you order, it's $100. So if I order $500 of desk units, I have less of an issue with a $100 delivery charge than I do if I buy $100 of stuff from IKEA. Because your delivery charge just became 50% of my order cost. And then when they're saying, oh, we don't have these things in stock, and then they turn around and say, and we won't be able to deliver it for 4 weeks. So in 4 weeks, how much of the stuff I'm ordering are you still going to have in stock? And are you still going to charge me $100 for a $10 leg deliver? So I figure, yeah, mail order with a 4-week lead time, I'm going to wait. I'm not that desperate. We can figure out this office later. So where are we at? Oh, we're coming up to midday. I'm running out of drink. So as for game time, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I want to be able to finish this job by around 4 o'clock. So it's late fall. It's going to start getting dark earlier. Probably about 6 o'clock, but I still need to get back to the yard and clean everything up, and I prefer not to be doing that in pitch dark. So get this done by 4, that'll be a good thing. So this time we will do at least 2 headlands before we go up and down the field. I go to IKEA for certain things. The desk system we currently have is absolutely excellent. I have no issues with it whatsoever. IKEA bookshelves are serviceable if you're going to put books in them. Don't load them down with heavy stuff, they will break. Also, don't move. They will probably survive one house move, and then because they're made of chipboard, second house move, they usually shake themselves apart and the chipboard starts giving, and it's a waste of time. What else have we had from them? Obviously linens and stuff like that. I mean, they're kind of like Bed Bath & Beyond for tea towels and towels and face cloths and stuff like that. No problems with anything like that. I was starting to I'm kind of not entirely sold on the desk system I have bought. I have 2 desktops. We could use them somewhere else and possibly go for something completely different, because they are, I don't know, they're almost made of just wood powder, and drilling into it just creates a very fine dust, and they won't hold a screw. You know, you screw into it and the screw will just shred the dust. Now, as a desktop, it's probably fit for purpose, but doing anything with it to supplement its ability as a desktop, it's not very good material. I mean, the plan was to for at least part of it, mount brackets on the wall so that it was, you know, fixed in place. Yeah, that's not going to happen. The legs provided do seem to hold, but I think that's because they're not very heavy, which of course then makes you wonder, well, if I put a PC on the desk, is that gonna, or half the equipment I have on the desk, is that gonna cause the desk to have issues? But I am considering now using a couple of 2x1 what do you call it, things, 2x1 strips of wood, and building a desk frame and then gluing the desktops to it, because I think they'll be okay with glue. That should get them to stick down quite nicely. I can't remember if these are real or not. Nope, they're not real. Okay, I can drive through the telephone poles. And because they're then supported by a reasonably good frame, there'll be less chance of them having structural issues. But that doesn't really prevent me just saying, yeah, I'm not going to use those as desktops for the office equipment, and just going out and buying, say, kitchen countertops and setting them up as office desks. The problem is to do any of that, I have to find all of my tools and all of my stuff, and the mitre saw and table saw all need to be plugged into something, and there is a distinct lack of electrical outlets in the basement for that. It's what we wanted out. You know, timetable wise, I would like our contractor to put some studs in to the basement and then run power around the basement for power outlets. At the moment, previous owner relocated the hot water tank from the house down to the basement, and the power for that is the middle of the basement in the ceiling, the power outlet. And so they have extension leads running over to the corner where the hot water tank is. And that's not particularly ideal, especially not since we'd like to relocate the furnace to the same position. And that's probably also going to need a power outlet. So if I can get some studs in the basement, you know, wall studs into the basement, and get a run of power outlets installed, and also insulate it. I don't need to what is it? No, don't need to put any drywall up right now this minute. That's a later plan. But by being able to have the power outlets in the basement, it gives us the option to buy some freezers so that we can actually buy a quarter of a cow and store it somewhere cold. And also it would allow us to relocate the furnace down into the basement, which would give us more storage space around the kitchen. So that's kind of the sequence of events I want to happen, and we can then, with power outlets in the basement, I'll be able to operate power tools down there. I can probably still operate power tools down there, but I'm going to have to use the power outlet out on the deck or on the porch. And when it's 30-40 degrees outside, I am disinclined from doing any home DIY stuff that involves power tools that need to be plugged into places or need to be plugged into electrical outlets. Admittedly, last couple of days it's been warming up. Some days it's up close to 70 degrees, but we still have low 50s some days. At least I know where the miter saw and the table saw are, even if I don't know where all of my other tools happen to be. Got a hand socket wrench so I can screw things together, although my shoulders complain about that. And my drill, which is battery powered. I know where the charger is, and I know where the drill is, and I know where some of the bits are, not all of them. Mrs. Osa would like me to make some shelves for her in one of in the empty kitchen space which used to have the water heater in it. So now that it's getting to be warm, I can probably think about cutting and screwing the wood together. Up to the island. Where might I go? I missed it. We'll go around it next time.